Today, we're diving deep into the journey of a junior software developers in today's rapidly evolving tech landscape. We are joined by Andrea Correa, Andy, a software developer who started not too long ago as a junior herself. This episode is very close to my heart. I personally hired Andy a few years ago, but not as a software developer. Her story, how she got started with us, and where she is today, that's the topic for today's episode. Together, we'll explore what it means to break into the tech industry and how the rise of AI is shifting the game and what challenges newcomers face in the job market. Is it harder than ever to land that first gig? Or do new technologies present fresh opportunities? Let's find out. Andy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Andy, let's get started with the basics. What do you do today for a living?
Yeah, so currently I'm a happy camper. I get to do what I love the most, which is developing code, developing solutions. And so I work as a full stack developer, and I'm a junior myself and still getting a formal education, which I'm nearly to finish in a couple of days, actually.
And you are about to graduate as an engineer?
Correct. Yeah. We call it computers engineer. So it's a bachelor's in computer science.
Nice. And that was like what, 5 years studying?
Correct. 5 years plus all in between, I on off because of life. But yeah, 5, 6 years.
Wow. And when did you start? When did you start this journey of 5 years? That it's never 5 years. That sometimes can be more, right? But when did you get started on this journey?
Yeah, so that was like 6 years ago. I had all of these dreams and ideas of what would it be like. And like I mentioned, life gets in between. I had to start working and had to put off the formal kind of information. And so yeah, but I remember these very young, very naive Andrea coming into the formal studies, which was like a huge thing, a huge thing.
And how did you get started in technology? Did you always want to be a developer? Tell me more about that story, that first interaction with technology and how it came about.
Yeah, so that was way back into the 90s. So my dad got us our first computer. And mind you, back in the 90s, getting a computer was a huge deal. It's not like today, you go to a supermarket and get one. And so with this computer came a CD that had a lot of different classical games nowadays, like Quake 2, Tomb Raider, you call it, a lot of them. And so there was this little kid me, that, got to a little taste of these games, and I was mesmerized by it. I just wanted to learn more about them and get to test more of them. And so at first I thought that I wanted to do something with this, gaming aspect. Um, Throughout the years, that shape that move into development. So I just wanted to get near a computer and do whatever I could with it, and so that changed, that shifted into development.
I talked to a lot of engineers, and it's amazing how many stories start in a similar way, right? You start interacting with a computer, games, whatever it is, and then it's like and also the mind of an engineer, right? You start thinking about, okay, how does this work? How can I how can I help create this type of magic, right? It's like a magic thing, but at the same time, you have that urge of understanding how that magic works, what's behind the curtain, right?
Yeah, and I remember, it was like a safe space to me, getting back from school and getting to play games. And I just wanted to mix other interests that I had into gaming as well. And so I had a bunch of ideas, and I just wanted to share. I wanted everyone to have a taste of it. And so that's, I think, the first time or situation when I was like, I need to do this. I need to share this with people. I want to put my input into it. But yeah, I noticed that as well. We developers share 90% of us share the same like starting point.
Very nice. Andy, tell me more about your first jobs. Did you start right away working in the tech industry, or what were your first jobs?
Oh gosh, no. Actually, my first type of jobs, they had nothing to do with the IT world. There were all like entry level customer service type of roles, and so nothing to do with them. I did had prior to my first ID job, I did have again a customer service agent role, and I kind of worked up my way through management. But yeah, nothing to do with IT.
Tell me more about that. How was that experience? You started as a customer agent and you grew and you became a manager.
Correct. Yeah. So this was a company that outsourced customer service for a bunch of different North American clients. And so I started as an agent, answering different customers that had problems with whatever. And so, yeah, I spent like I think 6 months getting to know the product. And I just, again, I wanted to share my input, and I had a bunch of ideas and plans of, or what could I do to improve this experience? And so I worked my way up through leadership first, team lead, and then as a manager, and then as a upper management.
And let's set the scene for our audience, right? Because, and I know all of this because I know you and we work together, right? But you live in Uruguay, in Montevideo, right? But you used to live on the countryside, what we call in Uruguay. And then you worked for a massive call center agency, Alorica, that had a customer which was Amazon, right? So you were essentially working for Amazon and dealing with all the calls coming in from Amazon. Um, what would you add to that scene, right? For the audience to picture what we're really talking about and what it meant to you. You are coming to the city. Montevideo was a big city to you, and then you are joining this massive building with a lot of people in the room, all of them taking calls nonstop all day long.
Yeah, so I think one of the situations that I had that maybe summarized all of this is, so I was one of Christmas evenings, I was, at the phone, and I remember, everything is going crazy because, customers are calling and they're complaining about missing packages and whatnot. And so it's like looking throughout the window, I just wanted to be out. I wanted to start doing something else, and dealing with what we call it first world problems. And I was like, man, I just want to do something different. And I remember having like this party favor kind of thing um, that the company provided for us, and I was like, man, I'm just done with this.
What? So what skills did you think you picked up during this time and on these roads? And let me ask you something. Um, when did you start learning English, and did you um, get better in English at this particular role, or were you this good even before that?
That's an interesting question, because when you have an American client asking you why they don't have their package for their son for Christmas evening, you have to learn. You have to understand what they're saying. So I definitely improved my English then, but it all started actually when I started gaming. Really early on my life, when I have to. So I speak Spanish, and all the games that I came to play, they were all in English. So I have to try different things because I wasn't understanding what the game was asking me to do. So, from an early age, I was interacting with English, but this role, they definitely polished my English, definitely.
But were you going to classes when you were gaming and learning English, or were you doing that on your own?
No, on my own, because I didn't have the opportunity to go to an actual academy, so all by myself. And definitely because of the input that I was having through media, games, and my role as a customer agent.
Wow. Did you now? Sorry, I wanna really get to the bottom of this. Did you ever go to like formal English classes?
No, I've never had the opportunity. Mind blown.
Mind blowing. The audience, if you're looking at the YouTube video, then you are seeing my eyes and my head exploding. But if you are not, I can only tell you this: my head just exploded. Andy, I spent I started learning English when I was like 4 years old, and I never stopped until I was like 18 years old. So from 4 years old to 18 years old, I attended English classes 2 or 3 times per week. Always, nonstop, 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 nonstop. And your English is much better than mine. And you never went to formal classes. It's a I think that's a testament to who you are. It's amazing. It's amazing, and you should be super proud about it. Super, super proud.
Thank you. Yeah, like I mentioned, much of it being that polish is because of all the chatting that I had to do with clients, and they were from all over North America, the United States. So I had to face a lot of different like accents as well. So yeah, that will polish your English for sure.
And how did you become a manager? So you were first different, you were an agent, and then somebody must have picked up something. You were great as an agent. What happened?
Yeah, so I think that I while I was not getting any call, I was getting well versed with the product. We have this like database with different policies, and I was learning a bunch of them to my idea was to solve the calls as soon as I possibly could. So I think that they noticed that I was well versed with the product, and I was sharing some ideas on what I would do better or different. And so when they opened like different positions for leadership and management, I took a chance. I had like really great mentors, and they pushed me to apply to them, and I did. And so, mind you, it wasn't like the first time that I applied that I got the role. It
Right.
took me like 3 4 times to apply in different like months or years even. And so then I think the seventh time I applied, I got the role.
Wow. Why did you keep trying?
um I think that I what I wanted to do different was worth trying. And so I had ideas that I thought that would help others, and that's what kept me going, basically.
Did you ever felt like, oh, I feel like I want to give up, or that wasn't an option for you?
At times I had that thought, like, is this really worth trying? But I was quickly to, put that in the back of my mind again and just kept trying.
We're seeing a lot of skills, right, that you were picking up, communication wise, resilience, perseverance, ownership. I love it. What did you enjoy the most about that role of being a manager at the call center?
Oh, people, for sure. You mentioned it already. I was coming from the countryside, and rural schools. So it was definitely challenging, to work with a bunch of people and different profiles. So one thing that I noticed is that when I was a manager, I was trying to reach every individual with the same approach, and that didn't work for me. I was sugarcoating everything, and that
Right.
didn't work for me. And so getting to know all these people and getting to see their their individual point of view and the way of seeing life, and that really opened up my eyes to getting to know that there are different ways of approaching life. And so that's what I enjoyed the most.
I love it. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm 100% in agreement. It's personal, and you have to make it personal, and each person is a world of its own. So I completely agree. Um, what didn't you like about the role?
So there was this back and forth between upper management and the team. and so you have to be this middleman. So the team work will was coming to you with ideas, and these KPIs don't make any sense, or why these bonuses don't make any sense, and so you have to communicate that to upper management. But upper management was sharing, no, we have to do this because X, Y, and Z, and so you have to uh, be a bridge without spilling the beans, right? Because we were working with confidential information, of course.
It's tough. It's tough, and also I imagine it must have been tough for you because you knew exactly what it meant and how it felt to be an agent, right? And so you knew what it was to be on their shoes.
Correct. 100%. I wanted to, like I said, spin the beans, but I was just with my hands tied. I have to communicate as much and as best as I could without, sharing some confidential information the upper management has been working or have working with.
And all along, you were already starting to become an engineer. You had already made up your mind. You wanted to be a software engineer. You were going to college, busting your ass off, paying for your tuition. Tell me more about that aspect of your life during that time.
Yeah. So I was working because I needed to pay tuition, and I think it was challenging, and I was sometimes I felt like I don't know, it was worth getting all of this hard work and having to pay this. And I was like, I'm not getting the opportunity to pour all of this knowledge that I'm getting, that I'm paying for, to actual practice. And I was like, I don't know if it's worth it. That's, I
Right.
guess, what was really hard for me.
I can only imagine. Now, a new chapter in your life. All of a sudden, you get an opportunity to work as a recruiter. Tell me more about that. How did that came about?
Yeah, that's a really fun story. I love it. I actually, whenever I get the chance to tell it, I just love it. So I was working again at this company, and as a already upper management role. But I was looking to, start getting well versed, so start having an opportunity to see an actual IT company. This had nothing to do with what I was working at the moment, and so I was scared that I wasn't quite ready yet to be a developer. And so I was like, okay, let's find something in the middle. Let's find like something I could use my management skills at, but maybe getting well versed with technology as well. So that I start working or start searching for roles that were, um, um, PM or management, technical management. Let's put it that way. Um, and so I came across this role opportunity, this opening that Exit had for a technical lead or a management position, and so I applied. And mind you, while I had this interview, I was currently working at my office in the prior job because I hadn't time I didn't have time to do anything else plus working and studying. So um, it was real fun because I remember I had my first chat with Marcelo, and then he probably liked my profile because he shared my profile with you, and then we had our call. And I remember, we hit it off right off. And so you mentioned to me in that opportunity that you already had the person that was probably get the role, but we were we had a blast in that um, in that chat. So we were like, okay, let's just stay in touch. And then a couple of days later, you were like, we contacted me, and you were like, hey, I think I come up with something that could be good for both parts. I was like, okay, interesting. And then you said in that call, well, look, I know that you have a bunch of knowledge about technologies, and you're studying to become an engineer, and you have all of this knowledge on management. So what do you think of being a sort of recruiter that helps us identify different technical profiles because you have all this knowledge. And what do you think? What do you feel about that? And so this was this Frankenstein kind of role with all of those different things all put together. And I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. I just want to get into this area one time, And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, that's the story of my recruiting role.
Andy, and you spent more than a year on that role, right?
Correct. A year.
And tell me how was it and what did you learn during that time?
I learned that all of the things that I was learning in the formal, academy that I was going to, it was, okay, it was theoretical knowledge, but the practical world has almost nothing to do with that. There were a lot of things that I was learning while, interviewing these people that I was like, oh my God. And it was like, I felt like I was cheating because I was getting all of the action. I was seeing all of the action happening in front of my eyes. And I was like taking notes of everything that was being asked and all the nitty gritty stuff that went, between clients and recruiters.
What? So you were interviewing developers, you were filtering out who were the best candidates for the role or not. You were presenting those candidates to our customers, and you were joining the real interviews by our customers, right? For the pre-vetted candidates, still there was the final filter by our clients, and you were going there and seeing that, and you then were doing the job offer and closing, right? So the whole thing, right? So finding people, filtering them, showing them to our customers, and then closing with them. Did you ever feel like, was that a motivation to you, or at some point in time did it become like annoying seeing a lot of other people get it, the type of opportunity that maybe you would like for yourself? How did that felt?
Oh no, I wasn't feeling jealous. I was like, if anything, I was feeling like blessed that I had all of these opportunities to see the action of all the process in the background. I was feeling though that I wanted to be like them.
Right.
I wanted to have all of their knowledge, all of their expertise, and I was like, well, if you want to get to that point, pay attention. And I was like, I'm taking notes and I'm learning new ways of reaching to clients and what technologies are the new hyped, and so I was like, I felt like I had a cheating code, but never jealous. No, I was like, this is a great opportunity. This is a blessing.
And how was your transition to development, right? Because you wanted to get there, but how did that happen? How did you find yourself working as a developer?
Yeah, so the first time that I got into coding on a professional level, I was still being a recruiter. But so Exit came up with this idea of having this mentoring scenario in which will start. I was doing half and half time, so half time as a recruiter and half time as a developer, and I got to work with amazing people, tech leads that we had and we have in still in Exceed. And so I was kind of doing half and half, and that was again and yet another time where I was like, all this theoretical knowledge that I have is amazing, but the practical aspect of it is just it has nothing to do, from creating a PR to committing your changes, all of that in the real world. Yeah, that was like very shocking to me.
And now that you have been doing this for a while, um, for almost 2 years now, what do you think are the keys to succeed as a developer? What's your advice? Many junior developers can be listening to this, right? And they went through something. they are yet to go through something similar as you did, what do you think are the keys to succeed? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah, so I think three key aspects. First of all, learn, because I know I keep repeating myself with the theoretical and practical aspects, but you cannot understand the practical if you don't get the theoretical. And we are living in a very competitive times, where you have to learn everything and keep up, basically keep up. So consume as much as you can from, videos, courses, formal education, whatever pleases you the best. So first of all, knowledge. The second one is to observe. So if you get the chance to either companions from your formal education or videos or someone that already has formal or professional experience, to observe them, what they do, what you do different than them, and just how they conduct their day to day. And the third one, and I think this is very important, never be afraid to ask questions. I love asking questions, and I'm luckily surrounded by people that are very, good at handling all my questions, and they love answering them. And so, never be afraid to ask questions. That's how would you get to real know. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. I've learned, I think, more when I made a mistake, and I was like, coworkers were like, hey, this isn't the way to to do it, and I was like, oh, my bad. I'll never do it again, and I'll never do it again.
Learn, observe, and ask questions.
Yeah.
Very good. Andy, do you feel you are finalizing college, right? But you have been working with a lot of other students, and you know a lot of them, right? So, do you think it's harder nowadays to get a job in the software industry than it was maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
I do think it. I do think that it's getting more competitive, and I do think that's not excuse though, to put you out there and keep searching for those opportunities. I do think that one of the things that is going to uh, differentiate you from the rest of the candidates, being coming from the recruiter world as well, is soft skills. You'll learn a lot, and you'll have a lot of different technologies and stack and tools, but will, in my opinion, put you in the first place. When comparing you with the rest of candidates, it's going to be how you approach situations, possible leadership skills, how you conduct yourself with others, soft skills, soft skills, soft skills.
I love it. And do you think that's kind of also the key with how do you feel about AI? Right. I mean, there's a lot of conversations going around AI, um, increasing productivity, but at the same time reducing the number of developers that are needed, or making it harder for juniors to get the type of experience that they could have gotten in the past. Um, do you see that situation, and do you think that maybe soft skills are the way really to get around that, or what are your thoughts?
No, absolutely. I do think that. So it's true that nowadays with AI and with a lot of different people getting into this world, the IT world, I think that it's more difficult. I do stand by soft skills. Even when talking about AI, I do think that you need to get the theoretical aspect of it. You need to do as much learning of it as you can, but soft skills will definitely put you under the radar.
What's next for you, Andy? What I know this the typical questions you get asked on interviews, et cetera, right? But do you think about yourself in 5 years, and where would you like to see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, so my anxiety wouldn't allow me to do it otherwise. I always think ahead. Yeah, so I do think of myself in the next 5 years. um, and I know that I'm still learning and getting to develop my own set of skills as a developer, but I do think about leadership someday. There is this phrase of learn one, do one, teach one. I'm in the doingness area right now. I'm doing as much as I can to, get all the experience and expertise and knowledge. But I will definitely would like to give something of this back, because I had the opportunity to surround myself with wonderful people and wonderful professionals that have helped me a lot, in getting to this point. I will definitely love to give something of that back.
That's very nice. And do you see yourself more as a technical leader, manager? Where do you see that happening?
Technical leader for sure. I do love management, and I always hold that aspect of my professional life dear to my heart. But I love development, and I love the aspects or the opportunities that come with being a technical lead.
Well, you definitely have everything that's needed to get there. So I'm sure you will get there. Knowing you, Andy, and knowing your perseverance and determination, there's nothing stopping you. So I'm going to make the best on our side so that you get that opportunity with us. But I know you will get that opportunity sometime. Andy, one last question to you. What do you do when you are not working?
Well, this will come to as not a surprise, of course. I game a lot. I love gaming. It's in when I'm not gaming, I'm developing, professional, um, personal projects, and yeah. So I spend a lot of times in front of the computer. I love it, and I know that people that are out of this IT world, they struggle to understand why. But I just love it. It's a safe space for me. But to share something different when I'm not in the computer, practicing Pilates or yoga.
Nice, very nice. Or also cooking, great stuff, for the audience. Andy is an amazing cook. She has done marvelous things for us, and I'm waiting for the next one. Um, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Andy, what's your favorite game?
Oof, we could. We've been here like half an hour. We could be like another half an hour or an
Another
hour
episode,
talking
right?
about. Yeah, but to answer your question, I think I have two things I want to share. The first one is the favorite game that I had while growing up, which was the Tomb Raider series. Lara Croft. She was an amazing role model for me. One of the reasons that I kept learning a bunch of different languages and just being a badass, kicking ass. But nowadays, if you were to ask me my favorite game, I'll have to say Dark Souls 1. It's considered a very difficult game to play, but for the audience, if you wanna, get into it, it's a game that is considered to be a huge way to coping with depression and like walking through a difficult period of your life. A bunch of people have the same experience, and so I recommend it for whatever or whoever wants to, have a dig at it.
So many golden nuggets of advice, Andy. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Um, Honestly, I get the pleasure to interact with you on a daily or a weekly basis, so I'm very happy about that. I know that we will continue this conversation. It's a never-ending conversation, and hopefully we will do this again sometime in the future for the future of the future podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to get into chat with you. And let's see in a couple of years, maybe we'll chat about technical leads roles.
For sure.